It is time for Ask Amy. Today we're going to be talking about a topic that is near and dear to my heart and one I have a lot of experience in, and that is moving. Nobody loves moving, and I feel a little guilty that I work in a profession that causes people to move, but it is a necessary evil, and it is one that gets us through new changes and to exciting new things. So there are ways to make moving easier, and I want to share some of those tips. And I'm going to cover kind of all moves, including local moves, and then bear with me if you're moving out of state or even internationally. I have a few extra tips for those at the end. So my experience comes from having moved every 2 years as a child. My father worked in the oil business in projects, so we were constantly on the move. So I learned a lot before I even turned 18. And then after college, I moved between 3 different cities and within those cities multiple times. So I have a lot of adult experience as this as well. The last time I moved was 5 years ago to the Heights, actually 6 years ago. And I remember it well. Nobody wants to move too much more often than 5 to 6 years. The average is 7, FYI. So most importantly, before you sell your home and before you sign a contract, see if you can get your realtor to negotiate something called a leaseback, which means you close on your property when you sell it, you get the funds, but you don't move right away. You actually are a renter in your previous home, and you have all of the collateral from your home sale, and you have a little breathing room. You know psychologically that money is in your account. It does happen that people don't close on their closing days and you can lose a buyer. So even just for your mental peace of mind, a little lease back to know that you've closed and funded and now you can take a breath and go to your next step. That is the single most important thing I can probably share as an adult, as a realtor in this entire message. So lease back, super important. If you're not clear on what they are, call me, text me, send smoke signals, as I always say, on how to reach me. So let's talk about all moves, including local moves. Check for 2 applications, one called Nextdoor, which is an app on your phone, and the other is called just Facebook. We all know what Facebook is, but there are different community groups all about your neighborhood that you're moving to. And it's really helpful just to kind of listen to the chatter about what's important in that neighborhood. A lot of it on Facebook will be fluff, but people will talk about different events and different stores and different restaurants and what's great about that neighborhood. And so you can really get a sense of it before you go. And sometimes you can even announce yourself, hey, I'm moving there. Where is the best place to get your hair done? Where is some place to go walk your dog in the evening? So go online, use those resources. They're a great way to kind of know where you're going before you go. Moving itself is also a great time to realize that we all collect clutter. And the best possible thing you can do is make your move to the new location lighter. You don't need to pay $200 to pack a box full of things you really should have thrown away in the beginning. So there are 3 resources for making a move lighter to your next home. The first one is an amazing book called The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. If you haven't heard about it, you may have been living under a rock in the last 5 years. It's called The KonMari Method by Marie Kondo, and they have a website at konmari.com. And it is truly life-changing. It is a great way to figure out how to sort through what you really don't need, get rid of it, and pare down to what you truly do need and love and like having around you. And it is very psychologically helpful to reduce clutter. Once you've pared down and you have a lot of donations, consider someone like Goodwill or the Salvation Army. But don't give them your broken stuff. Don't give them your junk. Goodwill does not want your broken toaster. There's a great article called that on the internet right now. They need things that they can sell in their stores that aren't stained, aren't broken, can still use. So those things should go to Goodwill. Or Salvation Army, also another good resource. So the stuff you're left with that nobody wants, use a resource called Got Junk for a pretty small, reasonable fee. They will come to your house. You can just point and say, that pile of stuff is junk. That stuff in the garage is junk. Get rid of it. And then it's gone. So Got Junk is phenomenal. On local moves, this is one of the key and most important things I can share with you. Pack a laundry basket full of all the things you know you will need right away. So that includes prescriptions, toilet paper, a few cleaning supplies, checkbooks, important documents, snacks. You will need snacks while you are moving. Things that are the most high value and urgent, so you won't be hunting them down once you get to a house full of boxes and you're a little overwhelmed. So take that laundry basket with you in your car, and it's kind of your whoopee, your security blanket, and you know you've got all the most important things with you at one time. So once you've done all of that, if you can afford it, consider hiring professional packers, because they will get more done in an afternoon that you or your family or your friends can get done in days, and it will be far less exhausting. So look into the cost of that and consider it. If you're going alone, I personally like the boxes and the supplies from the Container Store. I'm going to mention them a couple times because they are great for organization and for transition. If you're not liking the boxes at the Container Store and you want something a little less pricey, U-Haul is another good source for buying moving boxes. So now we get to this stage, we're packing, getting things into the boxes. I'm assuming you know everything about making sure you wrap your fragile things, bubble wrap or tissue or what have you, and don't put really fragile things at the bottom of a box. Always put them at the top. But I'm not going to go into the specifics of packing. What I will talk about is the importance of labeling. Every box should be clearly labeled on at least two sides so you can find it, of exactly what room it's going to at the next house, and a good inventory of what's in it. If it's all books, fine. But if it's books, blankets, and tchotchkes from the white shelf, make sure it says all of that so that you know exactly where things are when you get to your next home. It will make your life so much easier. Now, once you get there and you're overwhelmed and you don't know what to unpack first, always do the kitchen. Always unpack and organize the kitchen first, because once you feel like you have a functional kitchen and you can prepare food, you will feel much more at ease, and the rest of the move and the unpacking will go so much easier. So, great advice here. If you ever want to stain or seal your garage floor, do it before you move in. Do it 2 days before you move in, because the first box that goes on that garage floor means you will never ever stain or seal your garage door. It's not going to happen. So, garage floor, excuse me. I am here to testify. I thought, oh, I'll get to it. It's just my car, a couple boxes. And here we are 6 years later. My garage is packed and the floor is not sealed. So do it a couple days before you move if you want it done. So out of state moves and international moves, I just want to hit a few points. Out of state moves, find personal or online resources for identifying the critical people that you need to support you or your family, including doctors, dentists, hairstylists, or barbers, the closest emergency room that's on your insurance. Have a list of those. If you can't kind of identify who's going to be what you want through your realtor, then go back to that Nextdoor app or the Facebook community groups and get a sense of who will be the best. Yelp is also a great resource for identifying the best and highest rated doctors and dentists and hairstylists and all the things you need before you get settled. And doing that ahead of time makes you much more comfortable than doing it when you get there. So lastly, let me talk about international moves. And I experienced this multiple times as a child. And so I can give you some perspective on how to make it easier for your children as well. The most important thing is studying the currency. That's both for you and for kids. If you don't understand what you're holding and you go to travel, and I'll use an example, I went to Bali on a pleasure trip a couple years ago, and I still have some of the bills that I need to go back to and exchange, and I have absolutely no idea what they're worth, none. So before I moved to the UK, my dad sat down with me, and at the time they were pounds and they were still paper, and they were pence that were the cents. And he walked me through what all the different coins were, what they meant, and how to identify them, and what looked like a 10 and what was a 20 and everything else. And it was so comforting if I was able to just pop into a shop and I had my own money and I wanted to buy a soda or a piece of candy, a little bag of something, that I knew exactly what I was spending. It was incredibly helpful. So it's almost as important as knowing the language as knowing the currency. So see if you can identify when you move communities of other expats. For example, in London, south of Surrey is just a brilliant place to make sure you're surrounded by other people who are outside their home country. A lot of people called it the expat ghetto, which is funny because it's a very nice place to live. But meeting people from Germany or Switzerland or Australia or France or wherever, you're all kind of living away from your home country, and it's great to have people you can relate to in that sense. So maybe identify those communities before you move. Lastly, if you have children and you are making an international move, pick up a book called Third Culture Kids by Ruth Van Reken. I was on a Zoom with Miss Van Reken within the last month, and this new study of third culture kids is fascinating because, speaking as one, we do have a different worldview. We grew up in completely different circumstances. I always regretted that I missed a homecoming dance and a homecoming football team, but I got to go to plays in London, and as an 18-year-old, walk to pretty much anywhere I wanted in London and take tubes home and felt very safe about it. So it's a completely different experience to grow up as a third culture kid, or what they call TCKs. And if you're making that international move, go and get that book or do some online research. There's actually a website called, I believe it's called thirdculturekids.com, but just Google it. It's pretty easy to find. So I hope some of that has been helpful. As always, if I missed something or there's something you'd like some tips on, feel free to give me a call. I'm at 832-865-2390. I'd also love it if you'd follow me on my social media channels. I've recently changed the name of one of them. So it used to be Realtor Amy Houston. It is now Amy on the Clock. I have a personal Instagram at Amy Off the Clock. So YouTube, you can see me on Amy's on the Move. Facebook, it's In the Loop with Amy McGee. Twitter, it's Realtor Amy, and LinkedIn, it's just good old fashioned Amy McGee. So find me in one of those places. If I can help you to get a CMA on the value of your home, or give you ideas on how to make moving easier, or help you buy and sell, I'm always honored to call someone new a client. So as always, if you need to reach me, call me, text me, or send smoke signals. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you again next Wednesday at 1 o'clock. Have a great day.